Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, bringing you this week's Tune In and Tune Up Thursday that is actually Tune In and Tune Up Friday. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me, even though we've had a change in our days. With Remembrance Day yesterday, it didn't feel appropriate to share with you guys today, or pardon me, yesterday, so we're here today instead. So as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to connect with me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day. So a couple of really quick things. Next Friday is the full moon. So I've decided to bring back the full moon gatherings. We're doing it in an open Zoom session this time. The link to sign up for that is in the comments. And until this evening, I have a coupon code for the first 8 people to sign up for free to join us for free. So if you go to the link that's in the comments, it's available both on Facebook and in YouTube. It's one of the first comments that should be up. And you use the coupon code full moon, no spaces. The first 8 people will be able to join for free. And for everybody else, it's $11, which I hope is accessible for everyone. If you super duper want to join and you didn't grab one of the coupon codes, feel free to email me at erin@heavenlymessenger.com, and I can see what I can do to make room for you. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up, two other things. One, I have just sent out the first round of Season's Blessings cards today. If you haven't sent me your mailing address but would like to receive a card, I would love to send you one. So also in the comment section on both Facebook and YouTube, there is a link where you can send me your physical mailing address and I can pop that in the mail for you. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, next week, next Thursday, will be our last Tune In and Tune Up Thursday because we're going to be moving to Tuesday instead. So I was thinking as I was sitting here preparing to come on, I thought, we could do Tune In and Tune Up Thursday, or Tuesday rather, or we could come up with another name. So stay tuned. I'm going to be putting up a contest out later this weekend or early next week. And I'm going to ask you guys to help me choose the name of what we're going to call our Tuesday evening show. This is coming about because I am in the process of creating an online school with online courses, and I found that I was needing more time to do that than I thought. So my Tuesdays will now be dedicated to that, and Thursdays will now be open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursdays for readings. So that's where that change is coming from. Tuesday night then lets me connect with you guys here. So I realize I've been talking a lot. Let's just kind of hop right in. I want to take a look and see what messages we have coming up for us this week. There were so many things that I was getting ready that I didn't have too much of an opportunity to tap in and say, hey, like, what do we want to talk about? So we're going to the mermaids and dolphins cards, mostly because there's been a lot of energy that's been kind of floating around, lots of change, lots of good stuff. People kind of feeling in a bit of a place of transition. And the mermaids and dolphins really help and support us with that. And so the card that I've drawn for us is wait. Don't rush into action right now. Bide your time for better results. So this card usually comes up when there are things that we don't necessarily have all of the information that we need in order to make a choice and decision or to really effectively be able to move forward. So there's kind of a sense that we're in possibly a bit of a holding pattern and a holding phase, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The tricky thing is when you're in that place and you're just trying to push through rather than saying, hey, you know what, either I'm really tired or I feel like I'm hitting my head against the wall or something isn't working, something isn't happening, and you're trying to push through it. That's where challenge really starts, because everything is trying to tell you, hey, you need to slow down or you need to focus on something else. And that's the message that the mermaids and dolphins have for us this week is wait, slow down, take your time. It's not the time to be rushing in. All right. So I'm just going to put the question option up. So if you're joining me live, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're joining after, thank you so much for joining us too. The readings are for people who are joining us live. So if you have a question that you would like to ask, please be specific. I have 3 different card decks that you can choose from. And if you want me to use a certain card deck for your reading, please mention it with the question. I don't see the follow-up comments after. So we have the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck. There is the blue deck, which is the Mermaids and Dolphins. And we have the green deck, which is the Messages from Your Angels Oracle card deck. And again, if you want to ask, if you want to ask a specific question, I would love to connect for you. So sometimes people will ask, can you pull a card for me? I don't do those kinds of readings. Or do you have any messages for me? Or what does Spirit want me to know? I don't do those questions. So I'll ask you to ask a specific question later. And if we get to you, awesome. And if we don't, I'm super sorry. So a specific question would look like, what's happening in my relationship with my partner right now? Or what do I need to know to bring love into my life? Or is there something that's blocking me from the thing that I want? That's something that is a specific question. I only take a couple of minutes with each person, and that lets me really kind of jump into things for you. So let's just pop over and say hello to everybody who has joined us. We have Jenna. Hi, Jenna. It's so good to see you. And Crystal, hello. Sue, hello. And Catherine, Margaret, Tamra, Kimberly, Adrian. It's so good to see all of you. Kala, JC, Shelly. It is so wonderful to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, let's take a look at our questions. So we've got Crystal here. Hi, Crystal. Crystal's saying, so great to see you tonight. I have been wondering if my angels have any messages. I'm feeling at a crossroads and I need to know for what direction I should go or learn to stay the course. Okay, let's take a look and see what messages we have coming up for you, Crystal. So immediately, as soon as I ask, something is coming, I feel like the hammer is coming down. And things are feeling like they're kind of wishy-washy. Certainly the way that you're describing it, things are feeling possibly a little wishy-washy. And what I'm getting is no, we need to make a choice. We need to make a decision, and it needs to be done now. In fact, it is feeling very insistent. So now isn't the time to be kind of sitting back, and it feels like you're already really in touch and in tune with what this choice and this decision is. It's a matter of taking the leap of faith. It's a matter of being brave, and it's a matter of really stepping forward. So it feels to me like the path is actually really clear in terms of what it is that you need to do. And now it's a matter of doing it. Now, I go back to the message that we had coming up around weight for the week for kind of everybody. And on the one hand, it does feel like there is perhaps more information that you need in order to fully commit to this, but it's time to really start changing the direction that you're going in and saying, okay, this is the path that I'm going to be on. I might not necessarily know all of the pieces with how it's getting together, how I'm getting there, but this is the direction that I'm heading in. So we're just going to go to we're going to go to the Mermaids and Dolphins because this is such an action question. And we're just going to ask, what does Crystal know? Pardon me. What does Crystal know? That was a Freudian slip for sure. So, Crystal, you really need to be asking yourself, what do you know about this situation? Because that's going to tell you probably a lot more than I'm able to tell you in a couple of minutes. But what does Crystal need to know? And the card that we have here is the Dream Big card. The message is let go of small thoughts about yourself and see yourself succeeding. And I suspect that that's a really big part of why you haven't been stepping forward, why you haven't been embracing this, because it does feel like it's outside of your comfort zone. It feels like it's really calling on you to trust yourself. And I'm hearing the words leap of faith. So it feels like this is something that isn't necessarily the safe bet, but it is the path and the direction that you're being called on. And if you listen to your heart's going to tell you exactly where you need to be putting your energy and attention. Once you do that, all of the steps along the way are going to unfold beautifully. It kind of reminds me of like the cartoons when the red carpet rolls out like right in front of the person as they're walking. So you need to start walking in order for the red carpet to appear. Crystal, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so glad that you hopped on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. One thing I was going to mention as we move forward this evening, we've still been getting a couple of scammers popping onto my show. So if anybody messages you and tells you to inbox them, I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to inbox them, but just know that I'm not affiliated with them in any way. And in fact, I turn off the comments after the live show so that the scammers can't bother you guys. So sometimes they come on during the show. It just popped in. I don't see them and I can't remove them when it happens, but okay, so we have Sue popping up here. Hi, Sue. Sue's wondering, we are thinking of moving to a condo. Do you see a timeline? Yeah, so what's really interesting is as soon as I started asking about a timeline, I felt like I was tripping over myself and tripping over my feet. So what I saw initially was something that looked like it was a 1.5 time frame. And then I felt like I was tripping over my feet and I was getting there faster. So I have something that's looking like a 6-month to a 1.5 timeline. It feels like once you fully make the decision and commit to it, that things happen really, really quickly. But it's a matter of making that choice, particularly if you're in a place where you're needing to sell a current property and or to find the condo that you're wanting to live in. But once you make that choice and decision, if there are any things that you're needing to like upgrade or fix or repair, all of that feels like that happens very quickly. And then you just kind of roll over yourself and things start moving forward. There is something that's holding me back. It feels like this has to do with stuff, that there is stuff, there is something big that is important. I don't know that this is necessarily connected to you. This might be connected to like a partner or somebody else who either lives in the house or has lived in the house. So possibly you're storing stuff for somebody else. But it feels like part of the home that you have right now might be accommodating something that's big that has to do with somebody's way of living. So like this could be like a vehicle, or this could be a shop, or it could be extra stuff, or it could be storage for somebody. And it feels like that's one of the things that might be pulling you away from making this choice and decision. But again, once that's sorted out and figured out, it feels like it's fairly smooth sailing. So we're just going to ask, what messages does Sue need around moving into a condo? So the card that we have here is relationship harmony. This is Archangel Raguel. We angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. And I can certainly see, particularly given the messages that were coming up around like space and storage, that if you're moving from a larger space or thinking about moving from a larger space and into a smaller space, that conflicts around, what is priority for space, all of these conversations really start coming to the forefront. The other thing that I see with that is also the need to make sure that you have enough space in the new space that you're moving into. Typically when we're moving into a condo, we're thinking that we're moving into a smaller amount of space. So make sure that the space that you move into is effectively laid out, so you and anybody else who is living in the space with you have the space that you need in order for your relationships to function in a healthy and supportive way. Sue, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. And Catherine saying hello, and Margaret to see hi, both of you. So glad to see you guys. Okay, we've got Tamara here. Hi, Tamara. She says, hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you. I hope you are too. Wondering if you see me getting on a reality show I just did 2 interviews for, and if so, if you see me actually meeting someone with romantic potential on the show. Okay. Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm just going to be really honest here. I have never had this question before. So Tamara, I'm super excited about the fact that you're asking about this. I don't think I've ever known anybody who's been on a reality show before either. So I'm just going to have a little like star moment with you around that because that's really fun. Okay, let's take a look and see. So I have a bit of flip-flop coming up. I'm seeing you definitely being like a really solid candidate. And it feels to me like you've already made it through a couple of the rounds where they like remove people. So I'm seeing you making it to the next round. It feels to me like you're coming to the final round, but you might be the last one to make it, and then you don't make it, but then you do make it. So there might be a little bit of flip-flop. It feels like this might be like a little bit of pre-drama that you get to experience, but it does feel like you are making it onto the show, which is exciting. But when I ask about partner and relationship and finding somebody, I'm seeing a bit of a flop with the show, but I'm wondering if this might be something that's helping you to find somebody in a different way. So it definitely feels like it's an opportunity that's worth pursuing if it becomes available to you. And yeah, there's the show itself. I get a really strong like flip flop about it. It feels like it's an interesting experience, and I'm and I'm hearing in the back of my head that it's a really great story for the grandkids. So I do see that as being something that's hopeful because it does feel like there will be connection in the future that's helping to produce those grandkids too. So that was a really fun way for the angels to deliver that message. So yes, on the show, it feels like that's a go. When I ask about meeting somebody on the show, that's where my flip-flop really comes in because I do see you meeting somebody. It feels like it's indirectly through the show though. So we're just going to ask the angels, what messages do you have for Tamara about going on the reality TV show? I just wanted to, or reality show. I wanted to make sure I had that wording right. So the card that we have here is the creative writing card. This is Archangel Gabrielle. Her messages: make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or pen an article or book. I mean, all of those things feel like they're wonderful manifestation things, good things to get things like out of the way, out of your head. But in terms of the question that you've specifically asked, communication is really going to come to the forefront, as is leadership. So when and if you do make it on, your leadership skills are really going to come to the forefront in some way. And part of the way that you carry yourself is also going to be part of how you are connecting with whoever it is that you're meant to connect with. So don't be afraid to be brilliantly yourself because that's going to be part of what brings this person in. Tamara, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. And I hope you come back and let us know so that we can tune in. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Kimberly here. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for joining me. Kimberly's saying, can you update me on the situation with my son? I haven't seen him in over a year and he has completely ghosted me. I miss him so much. How to get him to talk to me again? Okay, so first of all, Kimberly, my heart is going out to you right now. I'm sending you big hugs, lots of love and support. I can only imagine how challenging that must be for you to not have contact with him. So let's just take a look and see what's coming up. So when I tap in and connect, he's definitely showing me like hands off, and I'm getting a really strong kind of like teenage, youngish kind of roll your eyes teenage phase and teenage energy that's coming in. And so part of what I'm feeling is that even if you did have a really solid, stable relationship, I'm seeing him being at a phase in his life, at a time in his life when he would be pulling back from you anyway, just because of where he is. So it feels to me like regardless of the relationship status that you have with him, that he would be pulling back right now. That doesn't make any of what you're going through any easier, but it feels like it's important to know that that's part of where this energy is coming from. Um, when I when I ask him about connecting with you in the future, he's showing me that he's needing you to reach up to something. There's something that you aren't doing or you haven't done in the past that he's asked of you. And it feels like that's a big part of the reason that he is turning away. And so for me, a lot of this goes back into you doing things for you, because at this point there isn't anything that you're really able to do to show him that you really want to connect with him other than what you've already done. And it feels like this is something that he's needing to wear himself out on and get out of his system. All that said, part of what I'm also seeing is the need to talk to somebody who has a better idea of the situation that you're in as well. So if you have thought about doing any form of counseling or talking to somebody about parenting, somebody who has like background in education and has a really solid foundation on like the dynamic and the relationship that you have right now, that feels like that is really helpful and beneficial. And I would confirm that message for you and encourage you to pursue it, because it feels like it's not necessarily in the moment going to help the relationship itself, but I'm seeing it having an incredible impact on you in your ability to cope with the situation as it is. And it feels like because of that, it opens up the opportunity for the two of you to connect in the future. Um, he's showing me that he's in this cycle, in this phase where he's shutting things down. And I have a couple of ages that are popping up. So when he comes through where he is right now, I'm kind of getting like that 12, 13, maybe into 14 year old time frame. Like that's the kind of energy that he's coming through with. When I see an opening coming up in terms of connecting between the two of you, it does feel like it's a little ways down the road. And he's showing me kind of 15, 16 as being that timeline, that time frame. So it does feel like there is some more time before you're actually coming into a place where you're like, you know what, I feel like our relationship is starting to repair, it's starting to mend. It doesn't feel like at this point there's a lot that you're able to do to speed it up, unless there are things that he has asked you to do, in which case take a look at those things. But I'm not seeing a lot that you're able to do to move things forward to get you from where you are now to really where you're wanting to be, because it's really on his timeline and his time frame. And just the mindset that he's in right now, it's not conducive to connecting at the moment. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the cards and we're just going to see what messages does Kimberly need to know about connecting with her son. Whoop. So we had a jumper and the card that we have here is the Archangel Ariel card. It is courage. Be courageous and stand up for your beliefs. So Archangel Ariel, first of all, she is a force to be reckoned with. She is that really kind of you go girlfriend kind of energy, and she'll back you up. Like angels don't really fight, but if you were to get in a fight, Archangel Ariel is the one that you want having your back, because she's going to support you and she's going to encourage you to like go for it, not to take any bull from anyone. So when this card comes up, it says that it's really important that you stand up for your beliefs. So I want to kind of backtrack on part of what I said. If one of the things that your son has asked you is to be somebody other than who you are, that is the last thing that you want to do, because what this card is saying is that it's important for you to be you, to stand up for what you believe in, and to recognize where he's coming from, and perhaps look at the bigger picture. So, for example, if you were a really spiritual, new agey person, say like myself, and I know that you are, so I give this example. And if your son said to me, Mom, you're just too weird, and I don't want to be around you, then part of what he's saying is I don't have a way to connect with you in a way that feels comfortable for me. So it's not so much that you have to change who you are or your beliefs, but that there's a need to create an opening so that he feels comfortable to connect with you, or so that there's a way for him to feel comfortable. So that's, I think, the message that we really have coming up here is look to what it is that he's asking you to do and find a way to provide that where you aren't letting go of yourself and who you are. Kimberly, I'm so grateful that you joined me this evening. I am sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, to you and to your son. May the connection that you're wanting be one that is healthy for both of you and come to fruition in the best possible time. All right, we have Kala here. Hi, Kala. Thanks for joining us. Kala is saying, what kind of business do you see my husband and I starting or buying? Okay, let's take a look. So it's really interesting because, first of all, I'm actually getting two separate things that are coming up. And I'm not sure if that's because the business that you're going to be starting or buying or getting into, I don't know if that's because there are actually two of them or if they have two very strong branches. And or really strong aspects to them, because part of what I'm seeing is that you and your husband are both bringing really interesting and unique skills to the business itself. I'm seeing one of you being really strong in a lot of like the back end stuff, and the other person is feeling really strong in what I would consider like the more front end slash hands on stuff. It feels like both of you will kind of flip back and forth so that you have a really so that you're really strong and comfortable in that. And I can definitely see why you're confused, because my goodness, I have lots of different options that are coming up. So first of all, I'm seeing something that looks like it is like food and or restaurant or coffee shop kind of related. So like the front end, the back end, those feel like they're really relevant terms. I'm also seeing something that feels like it might have a bit of retail as well. And then it feels like we're moving on to something else that feels like it's primarily service provided and possibly creating some sort of product. So I don't really have anything that's clear for you, because I feel like there are so many options. So when something like that comes up, it means that you guys really have a blank slate in terms of the path and the direction that you go in. So the things that I would look at are more the things that you are wanting to do in terms of how you're wanting to interact and engage with the business. I am seeing both of you having fairly hands-on roles and hands-on jobs with the work. So it's going to be important that it's something that you guys both have an interest in and that you enjoy. I can also see this being something that you build up and then decide to move on from, and then build up something else and decide to move on from. And so there is a very strong entrepreneurial aspect that's coming in. So part of what I'm seeing with that is it feels like you're starting off with something that is relatively small, where you get a feeling for what it's like bringing this together. Again, there's a really strong back end component and front end component. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're possibly looking at something, if it's purchasing something that has stability, but has a lot of potential with it to grow. And the other aspect that I'm seeing is I don't think this is something that you're starting up. It really feels like the first one is going to be something that you buy, and that you're really learning along the way. The first one isn't going to be the thing that you stick with. So don't become overly attached to it, but see it more as something that you are learning from, so that it is easy for you to move on from it when it is time. And then taking all of the skills that you have with in terms of like running the business, then you guys are starting something else. So I wish that I had something that was clearer cut for you, but there are just so many options. So the thing is to start with something that is of interest, that looks like it's a relatively safe bet, that you feel that you can get your teeth into and you can move forward with. So I just asked, what do Kala and her husband need to know? And I have the set your sights higher card. Increase your standards and expect more for yourself. Don't settle. So this is really interesting given the last message that came up, because what I'm feeling is that you guys are choosing something that is going to be fairly easy for you to run and operate and to get up and going, and that you're not investing a huge amount of money and you're not investing a huge amount of time in it, but it's something that you're kind of working with, you're trying out, you're getting your feet wet, so to speak, and then you're moving on from it. And so I think that this message is coming more from the fact that this isn't going to be something that you stay with forever. So see yourself moving on from it before you've even started with it. Kala, I'm so glad that you joined me this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. So we have Catherine here. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining me. So Catherine is saying, when should I sell my house? Should I sell my house? Do you see me moving out of the Comox Valley? Whereabouts? And she's asking for the green deck. Okay, so Catherine, let's just take a look and see what we have for you in terms of like what's happening with your home. I am feeling the need to move, to make a change. But the first thing that I'm going to ask about is, should you sell your house? And I'm seeing timeline and timing coming up here. So it feels to me like it's going to be important to wait at least until the spring before you're making any really big moves and decisions. There is something about staying where you are for at least the next couple of months that's feeling significant. So potentially it means that there are repairs or things that you're needing to do for your home, like to get it ready, or that the circumstances in the situation hasn't quite lined up for you in order for you to make that change. But the spring of 2022 is feeling like a significant time. The other aspect that I have is, like, when it comes to selling your house, is this a property that you're selling, or are you going to be doing something else with it while you move on, but hold on to it as some form of investment? And it feels like as we start to move into the spring, I'm seeing kind of like March, April into May, that things are going to become pretty clear. So in the next couple of months, I'd really encourage you to take a look at your options when it comes to selling or to holding on to the property. It feels to me like there is a pull out of the Comox Valley, but again, kind of just for right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do end up coming back, which is perhaps why selling your house isn't like a really straightforward done deal kind of thing. So there are still some questions in the air. There is definitely a need for a move, a need for change, new scenery, and that you're needing to take a look at all of your options before you make a really clear-cut choice. Okay, so what does Catherine need to know about a move, about selling her home, about finding something new? Um, and the card that we have is the Desiree card, and her message is, no, conditions aren't favorable right now. Wait or look into other options and ask the angels to guide and help you, to help, guide, and comfort you. I don't think I could have picked a better card for you for the question. What this card is saying is that the timing isn't right now, that there are other things that you're needing to consider before you make a choice and before you make a decision. And if I kind of look back at the overall message that we had from the mermaids and dolphins for everybody at the beginning, the wait card, that there's more information that you need in order to make a decision. So this is a time for gathering information, for making choices and decisions about where you're wanting to be. I'm seeing having some form of plan in place before you start taking action. And again, I'm feeling really hesitant to actually make a sale at this point. There's something that's kind of holding me. So if it is at all possible for you to maintain the property here while making a move somewhere else that feels like it's, for 6 months or a year and a half, I'd encourage you to take a look at that before completely uprooting, because I wouldn't be surprised if you end up back in this space, and that you're wanting to have that connection. And Catherine, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Let me see. Shelly, oh, that's so lovely. Shelly said your energy is always so beautiful, Erin. Thanks for sharing. I'm so grateful that you're on this evening. Thank you for sharing your energy too, Shelly. Okay, we've got JC here. Hi, JC. So JC's wanting to know how her son is. How is he and how is his health and well-being? Okay, so let's just take a look. So when I check in and when I ask your son how he's doing, I have a bit of like something's coming up in my tummy. This doesn't feel like this doesn't feel like this is overall illness, but something isn't sitting right in his stomach in this moment. And it feels like it's in kind of the lower part of his bowel. So if you have any contact or communication with him, I'm really wanting to um, send him or provide him with some food or some medicine that would help to settle his stomach, because there's something that feels like it's an underlying agitation that he's dealing with, but that, yeah, there's something that's going on in his stomach that doesn't feel completely comfortable. It's not anything to be really worried or concerned about. So that's feeling positive, but just to be aware of that. Um, when I check in, he's showing me that he is safe. He's showing me that he is well, and he's feeling really physically present in his body and in his awareness. So he doesn't feel like he is, lost or disconnected from himself. He's coming more and more aware of the physical reality, the present reality, and actually, that could also be part of the change that I'm experiencing in his stomach. Is that he is becoming more aware of what's happening in his physical body, and it could be that his nutritional needs are shifting and changing because of that changed awareness. So again, if there's any possibility to provide him with some food or to leave some food for him, that feels like that's really helpful and supportive. But his heart he's showing me that his heart is calling. There's something that his heart is calling for, and that this feels like this is a really significant breakthrough for him. So we're just going to ask, what does JC need to know about the health and well-being of her son? Okay, and the card that we have here is the Brigitte card, and it's saying caution is warranted. Look deeper into this situation before proceeding further. And so, to me, this feels like we're kind of taking a look. We're looking at the outside in, and it's saying to me that there is more that's going on than what we're currently aware of. I'm going back into the messages that were coming up about him becoming more aware of his physical reality and physical body and what's happening around him, as well as the heart. So it feels like there's a lot of emotional healing and a lot of emotional work and processing that he is going through right now. And I suspect that that's also going to color the interactions that he has, pardon me, with the people who may be in his environment as well. So just to know that he is showing me that he is safe and that he is well. And I'm just wanting to pull one more quick card for you. We have the outdoors card. This is Archangel Jophiel. And her messages: go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress, gain new creative ideas. To me, that says that he is exactly where he needs to be, because that's where he is being energized right now. But do know that he is healthy and that he is well. But if there's something for his stomach, that would be helpful and appreciated too. JC, it is always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for popping on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your son as well. Kai, hi, it's so good to see you. And Michelle, hello, it's wonderful to see you too. Rick, thanks for joining us. Let me see. So we've got Elizabeth here. Hi, Elizabeth, thanks for popping on this evening. Elizabeth saying, since September, my health has been an issue and it feels like one pain after another, and I'm trying to do a lot of healthy changes. I'd like to know what my angels have to say to me. I do pray to them and thank them for their guidance, because I do feel blessed just having some trying times. Okay, so Elizabeth, rather, it feels like we're asking about health and pain in your body, and what messages the angels have for you around your health and well-being. So first of all, I've got something that's kind of pesky, that's kind of over here. So it's not right in front of me. It feels like it's some sort of stress that's kind of off to the side. And I'm feeling the need to just let that go. So there's something that feels like it kind of comes into your head. It might be something that's been weighing on your mind. It feels like it's a stressor. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a certain amount of procrastination that's coming up around it as well. The angels are saying, hey, please deal with this to get it off of your mind more than anything else. And it feels like once you do that, from like a mental, emotional perspective, things start to shift, because this thing feels really pesky, and it feels like it's something that's kind of weighing on you and is having an impact on your ability to function in day-to-day life. What else are they saying for you about your health? I'm seeing a lot of commendation for you around the health choices and changes that you've been making. I'm seeing a lot that's coming up with movement, and again, I have movement that feels like it's being invited into into your abdomen and into the torso. I have walking, so like some sort of walking or running, or possibly a gentle aerobic kind of movement is coming up. This could also be like an aquasize or an aquafit kind of thing, but it feels like it's important to be inviting movement into your body very gently in that, and being physical in that way. I'm not getting anything really clear coming up around the health issues that you're dealing with or around things that you can do to be supporting yourself with them. So, what that says to me is that the things that you're doing, you're already on the right track, that there isn't more that I can tell you to add to it. So, I would definitely make sure that you're in contact with healthcare professionals, whether that's a family doctor or naturopathic physician or Chinese medicine, whatever it is that you're drawn to use. I'm getting a really big like check mark and confirmation that you're on the right track with that. The adjustments that you've been making along the way are feeling like they're helpful, and that there's a lot of encouragement to continue with the physical movement. And as we go into physical movement, I'm also seeing writing. And initially, it starts off very slowly, and then it feels like you're writing fast and furiously. So I take this as confirmation to either to start journaling, or if you've already started journaling, to continue with it. Often people will say to me, Erin, I don't really like writing. I find that really boring or stressful, or for some people, it actually is anxiety inducing. And there are lots of different ways that you can journal. You can pull out some magic markers and you can just doodle on the page. If you're like feeling really frustrated, choose a color that expresses the emotion that you're feeling and that you're experiencing, and just like scribble it on the page. So it is an opportunity and a resource to be getting things out, in whatever way feels good for you. But as I said, it feels like once you start, things come out fast and furious, and it feels like from a mental and emotional point of view, it brings a lot to the surface. So Elizabeth, I would encourage you to do that, but otherwise you're on the right track with what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And I'm hearing inviting your angels in more often, to hear them, to see them, and to experience them. So ask them to show you that they're around, and they will. So we pulled a card for you from the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck, and this one actually just fell out while I was dealing, or shuffling rather. So we call those jumpers, and they're always really significant. And the card that we have is Empowerment. You are more powerful than you realize, and it is safe for you to be powerful. I love this card, and it's really interesting because so often when we're dealing with health challenges, especially if we're not feeling good, we feel really disempowered in it. We feel like our body is maybe working against us in some way, and that we can't do anything about it. And at all times, but especially when this card comes up, it's saying, look for the things where you do have control and you do have power. So where can you make choices that are in your best and highest good? And maybe this is starting with choosing to drink more water each day. You know what? Today, I am going to choose to hydrate my body in a way that is supportive to me. So that means I'm going to drink an extra glass of water, or I'm going to throw some cucumber and lemon in it because that makes me feel good. Or it could be, today I'm going to go for a walk around my living room. I'm only going to walk for 10 minutes, but that's something that I can do for myself. So empowerment has lots of different ways that it can manifest. And I'm seeing that coming up to the forefront for you as being one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself, and what your angels are really wanting you to know as well. Elizabeth, I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined me this evening. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we're going to ask your angels to be really loud and clear with you that they are around you. Heather, it is so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Heather's saying, just curious about what my next step is in relation to work. Okay. So the first thing that I'm seeing is getting everything organized and everything into its place. Right now, things are feeling like they're kind of scattered, and I am seeing that being something that's physical, but it feels to me like this might be also something that's happening on a mental level. So it feels like it's not so much that you're questioning the direction that you want to go in, but it's more about organizing how you're going to get there. And I'm going to share just a little bit of my journey over the last 6 weeks or so. Excuse me just a moment. Oh, that was my bad not to fill up my water before I joined you guys. So over the last several weeks, I had like rebranding and updating that I wanted to do to like my 3 websites, and looking at social media and starting this and that and this and that. And it was so overwhelming. And when I wrote everything down on a piece of paper, it became even more overwhelming because I saw all of the steps and all of the things that I needed to do. But what I did was I started creating some time to do that. And pardon me, gave myself permission to change the way that I was doing things in order to get those things done. I know that my situation is probably really different from yours in terms of like how you're able to do things, but it feels to me like that's a big part of what's coming up for you is the direction that you're going in feels like it's really clear. The steps to getting there is where I'm feeling caught up on things, and where it feels like that's where challenge is coming in. And so I kind of want to encourage you actually to take a look at connecting with somebody who's able to help you sit down and figure out the steps that need to be taken, and figure out the steps that you can give to somebody else, because that feels like that's the other component too, is recognizing the that you have a finite amount of time to work with in order to make these changes and to move in a different direction, and that you're going to need a certain amount of help in order to get that done. So it feels like you're kind of pushing some of those tasks off on somebody else. I'm seeing somebody who's popping in. It feels like first of all, this person feels female, feels like a woman, and or somebody who has a very feminine energy. She feels like she is very compassionate, and also has a really good idea about what she's talking about. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is somebody who professionally helps people to figure out the direction that they're going in. It feels to me like she's probably I see her working with people similar to people who do work the way that you do, but not necessarily exactly the same type of work. So, for example, me doing psychic readings would be very similar to somebody who does mediumship. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. So, like somebody, she's familiar with working with people in your field, and I'm seeing January, February, March feel like they're going to be significant times. And I'm seeing something that feels like a launch as we start to move into April. So the changes that are happening in your work and in your career feel to me like they're happening over the next couple of months, and that you're ready to just kind of take off as we move into April. Let's take a look. We're going to go to, no, we've got lots of mermaid and dolphin energy coming up this evening, guys. Usually I'm 52 card pickup. Hold on a sec. We had a whole pile of jumpers that time. Okay. So we've got about 6 here. I'm not going to read all 6 cards. That was definitely a user error moment. So we're just going to ask, there it is, what Heather needs to know. And it's so funny because we have the empowerment card again. So a big part of this process is you stepping into your power as a person, as a business person, as a practitioner, and you're regaining parts of yourself. You're remembering what it is that you're able to do, and you're able to start moving forward. So a lot of the things that I was focusing on were more like kind of logistical things. How are we going to put this all together? How does this all work? But really, a big part of it feels like it's getting your mojo and your chops back too, because as that happens, everything really falls into place. Heather, it is always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for popping on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and energy of the mermaids and dolphins too. They are fabulous manifestors. As I said, focus on what it is that you're wanting to do, and the rest falls into place, more or less. All right, Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. It's so good to see you. And actually, I was thinking about you today. I don't think I have your mailing address. So if you want to use the link in my thing here to receive a Christmas card, please do that, which is actually a really good time to mention that again. If you would like to receive a season's blessings card or a Christmas card from me this year, up in the very top of the comments, there's a link for Postable. Please send me your mailing address. Okay, so we've got Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. Kimberly saying, not to be greedy by asking another question. I don't think I've seen one from you yet. I'm on the fence with education, my work path. I'm literally on the fence. Okay, all right, let's take a look and see what we have coming up for you, Kimberly. So I'm wanting to talk again about leap of faith, and it's so interesting because I had a very similar message for Crystal. I think Crystal was the first reading that I did this afternoon, so feel free to go back and to listen to some of the messages that came up for her too, as they feel like they're applicable to you as well. So I'm feeling really torn, really pulled in two separate directions. And it feels to me like part of what I'm needing to do is start testing my feet on the choice and the decision that I'm really wanting to make. So when it comes to work, I'm seeing a lot of like life path kind of stuff coming up for you, and the need to leap and the net will appear. And it feels to me like you're coming into a point in a place where you're needing to test that a little bit, to make sure that it's going to be stable for you. For some reason, I don't even know that I can explain this well enough, but I'm going to give it a try. There is this thing where if you add, is it salt or baking soda or something like that to water in a certain amount, if you hit on it with force, it actually becomes solid. But if you don't hit on it with force, then it's liquid and it drops and it sinks. And that's what I'm seeing coming up for you, is that you're literally testing the water to see if it's something that's going to be stable and safe enough for you to walk through. I hear it, I'm basically telling you to walk on water, but but that's what it feels like you're doing, is you're testing it to see, okay, is this going to be safe enough? Is this going to be stable enough? And what I'm seeing is you need to hit it with enough force in order for it to become stable and safe for you to walk on. So really, you're needing to do something fairly significant to test. Otherwise, you're just kind of tiptoeing at it and everything's kind of sinking. So take some space, take some time, and really go for it. When it comes to education, it does feel like there are things that you're learning. I'm seeing education being coming up in kind of from two perspectives. I'm seeing something that feels like it's taking away from the current work that you're doing and leading into something that you're wanting to do. And I'm also seeing something that's helping you with the current work that you're doing as well. So when I talk about current work, I'm meaning more like your day job, whatever it is that you do to financially support yourself. It feels to me like there's something that is helping to support you with that. We're not completely letting go of that at this point, but there is other work that's coming up for you, and it feels like that's where you're testing the water. So I am seeing you doing learning on both levels, because you're not ready yet to let go of the thing that is stable and consistent for this other thing that you're testing the waters for, but it is coming up, and it's coming up relatively quickly. So yes to education on both levels. Okay, Kimberly, we're just going to ask, what messages do the angels have for you around work and education? What do you need to know? And I find really interesting, the Archangel Ariel card, like take a leap, was the card that was on the bottom as I started shuffling. But the card that we have here is victory. This is Archangel Sandalphon. His message is, your prayers have been heard and answered. Have faith. When this card comes up, it's basically saying, yep, God, source, universe, angels, we're all recognizing what it is that you're wanting, and we are working to help provide you with that. And in addition to the walking on water metaphor that came up for us earlier, I also see this as like running a relay race. So when you are the person who is going to take the baton next, you don't start running when the person who's passing you the baton is right behind you. You start running before they get to you, because the idea is, in order for you to really take off, you already need to be in movement. You can't go from standing still to running with the baton. You have to already be in movement, already in motion. And that's what I'm hearing for you, is that the baton, or the thing that it is that you're wanting to create, that you've been praying about, that you've been asking for, it's running up behind you. You need to start running so that you can be ready to meet it and to just take off with it. And Kimberly, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Okay, we've got Haley here. Hi, Haley. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so Haley's wondering about her career, wanting to know, is she heading in the right direction? Okay, let's take a look. So what I'm hearing is, I'm getting, yep, we're heading in the right direction for right now. So it feels like you're in the car, you're in the vehicle, you're on the road that you need to be taking. And I'm seeing, it feels to me like your turn is coming up several streets down the way. So you're going to be on this path for a little while longer. This doesn't feel like this is going to be the only path that you're on. There is a turn off that you're going to be making, but as I said, like, it's several streets ahead. So you're on the right path. You're heading in the right direction. It feels to me, I'm kind of surprised by the car analogy. I don't normally get car analogies in this way. But it feels to me like you've got some, you're currently in the driver's seat, and I'm seeing at some point before you hit that turn that you're moving out of the driver's seat, you're heading into the passenger seat, and you're going to be getting out. So it feels like there are possibly like there's some sort of decision making, so possibly like management or pretty high up in whatever it is that you're doing, which is feeling really positive. It is where you need to be, but you are going to start transitioning out of that at some point. So either that's coming in the form of delegating, or you're bringing somebody else in up under you. But before you make that turn, you are going to be bringing somebody else in so that it's taking some of the pressure off of you. It's not going to be right away. It still feels like that's kind of halfway or 3/4 of the way to this turn that's coming up. So you're definitely on the right track. So there is going to be some sort of growth. There is some sort of building that's going to be happening. It feels like you're in a pretty empowered place in terms of the choices and the decisions that you're able to make right now. And I'm feeling like you've got a lot of control over the direction that you're going to. All of these things are feeling incredibly positive. And I'm feeling really empowered about it as well. So please know that you are on the right track. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing. And I'm not wanting to focus too far ahead. You're really needing to focus on where you are right now before you're even looking beyond what's kind of in front of you over the next little bit. Okay, so we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Haley around her career. What does she need to know? So the card that we have here is the You Are Safe card. This is Archangel Michael. His message is, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and your home. So first of all, I find it really interesting that this is the Archangel Michael card that's coming up. This particular card deck has 45 cards. In it, there are 15 archangels that are represented by 3 cards each. So we've drawn one of Archangel Michael's cards. So Archangel Michael not only helps us with staying safe, with being safe, but he really helps us with our life path and helps us to get on it and to stay on it and to make sure that we're moving forward. So I see it as huge confirmation that he's come through, and he's basically saying, yep, I've got you. You're good. I also really like that the message came through around protecting you against lower energies. So this can be really helpful, particularly for somebody who feels like she is in a place where you're upwardly mobile. So that either there are potentially people around you who might be jealous or who might unintentionally not have positive thoughts and wishes for you. And what Archangel Michael is saying here is, hey, you know what? I've got your back. You're safe. You do your thing, and just keep following your heart and your intuition. Haley, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. And we've got some thank yous from Tamara and Kimberly. I'm so glad that was really helpful for you, Kimberly. My fingers are crossed for you and your son. Kala has said her jaw has dropped. Very spot on regarding their current mindset. That's awesome. I'm super excited about the businesses for you guys. Okay, so we've got Cassandra here. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining me. And she's saying, hello, happy to join you tonight. Hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you. I did. I hope you did too. My little family has been working hard this year to get our life situated. We are looking into full-time RV living, and our little family is feeling excited for this new change. I'm looking for reassurance as to if the decisions we have made are right for us. Okay, so first of all, I feel the excitement that you guys are experiencing. And what I'm seeing is even the little people in your family, so your young ones, the kids, that they are super stoked about the choices and the decisions that you're making. One of the things that's coming up with them in particular is that they're feeling like they have some say in the matter. And that's feeling really supportive and important, that you and your partner feel like you're making, or you as the adult. I'm not sure if there's another adult who is with you, but that it feels to me like the adults who are making the choices and the decisions are creating space for the younger people to also have say as well, so that they're feeling that like they're included. So that's feeling really positive and supportive. When I ask about the bigger picture in terms of like the overall situation that you're finding yourselves in and where you're going to be, what I'm seeing is everything appearing just as it needs to, right in time. So it does feel like there might be a little bit of uncertainty and or potentially a little bit of instability, but I'm seeing the next thing that you're going to step onto feels like it just opens up. So as soon as you start to wonder, okay, well, like, is this the right thing? Then you're given the sign, yep, this was the right choice. And it feels to me like that's very much part of how you have structured your life, or how you've been living your life is, as soon as you start asking, boom, there's that confirmation. And it feels to me like you're in a place where you're able to see and recognize that, and that those things kind of help you move forward. The imagery that I'm getting is like moving from one rung to the next with monkey bars. You're like, you're holding on, you're preparing to make the swing, and you're like, is this the right thing? And you make the swing, and boom, yep, there's the next monkey bar. We made it. Awesome. You make the next swing. Is this the right thing? Yeah, we grab onto it. We're good. So it feels like that's a big part of the flow. I just want to make sure that I've answered your question. Yeah, just looking for reassurance as to if the decisions you've made are right for us. I'm seeing 110%. It feels like you guys are exactly where you need to be. And I have a lot of calm that's coming up. So even though it feels like there might be a bit of uncertainty around the next steps, I'm feeling really calm and grounded and centered. And it feels like everything is coming together the way that it needs to. Let's take a look. We're gonna go to the mermaids and dolphins again, because they've been really spot on for us this evening. And we're just gonna ask, what does Cassandra need to know about her RV living situation with her family? So the card that we have here is the Mother Healing card. As your feelings towards your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. So this is always a really interesting card to come up. And for me, it feels like a big part of it is coming up more because of your role as a parent and in keeping the children in your life safe. So although there might be some healing that's happening in the relationship that you had with your own mother, and or around being nurtured and supported, a big part of what I'm seeing is kind of making sure that you're doing what you need to in order to make sure that your family is safe, healthy, and well. And I'm getting really big confirmation around this that, yeah, you're there. And if you just take a look at this picture, we've got this mother mermaid, and she has her son mermaid and a daughter mermaid, I believe. Yeah, because she's got the clamshells on her chest. So it is his daughter. But she's very active and participating in her children's lives. She's looking at them, they're looking to her. Everything is feeling really safe and supported, and they're kind of in their own little space. They're I believe they're outside of the water because there are the waves that are around them, but everything's feeling really safe and really peaceful. And I see that really a strong confirmation around the choices that you've made and where you guys are right now. Cassandra, I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined me this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Nancy, hi, it's so good to see you. I sent you an email last week asking for your mailing address. So if you have a chance, check it out or pop over to my postable link. I'd love to send you a season's blessing card. Awesome. Let me just see. We've got lots of hellos. We have a hi from M and a thank you from Catherine. You're so welcome. I'm so glad you popped on. Tanya, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining me this evening. JC, you are so welcome. I'm so incredibly grateful that we were able to connect tonight. Avril, I'm so glad to see you this evening. So often I don't get down to your questions, so I'm so glad we made it tonight. So we've got Avril here. Avril's asking if we see a new job for her. What do we have coming up? I'm seeing both yes and no. There's something that's holding me to wherever you are right now. I'm feeling, I don't know if this is a sense of like obligation, or if this is something that is providing you with support, the support that you need, but I'm feeling the need to really hold on to it. And it's interesting because I'm holding on to it really tightly, despite the fact that you're asking about a new job. So it feels to me that, first of all, I'm not seeing this job being pulled out from under you. So it doesn't feel like you're going to be like downsized or let go or anything along those lines. But for some reason, it feels like you've got like a stranglehold on it and you're holding on to it for dear life. Um, so if you are wanting a new job, um, allow yourself to be open to something new coming in. There's something that you're needing to release and let go of around the current position that you're in. And I kind of wonder if part of that may have to do with a new type of work that you're doing, or that you are going to be doing, because it feels like part of what's happening is you're transitioning from one type of career into another type of career. And that could be part of what it is that you're really feeling the need to hold on to, that there is, and possibly there's a sense of like insecurity or fear because either it's unknown or there's some aspect that you're uncertain about. But what I'm feeling is I keep getting like this push coming up from behind me, and it's like, you've got to make a move, got to make a choice. It's almost like you are, the restaurants that have the doors that swing both ways. And it's like you're standing in the doorway and somebody's coming in from the other direction, and they push you, and you're like, you've got to get out of the way. But then for some reason you stand back in front of the door, and somebody else comes out from behind you and they literally kick you in the butt too. So there's something that it feels like, I mean, you're being told it's time for something new, but you're holding on really tightly. So start to let go. And a big part of that has to do with starting to look at other options and to become comfortable with looking at work in a different option, in a different way. I'm when I ask about like qualifications and like, are you capable of doing this work? I'm seeing like check, 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 check. It feels like you've got like any of the requirements that you might need, or that the requirements are easy for you to obtain. So then it's just feeling comfortable and ready. So we're going to the mermaids and dolphins again, and we're just going to ask, what does Avril need to know about changing her work and changing career? We have the alchemy card coming up. So you have the Midas touch right now, and every project you begin turns to gold. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the alchemists, but they were scientists way back, I believe, in the Middle Ages. And basically they were trying to turn like ordinary things, metals in particular, from steel into gold. And so talking about having the Midas touch, as soon as you touch something, it turns to gold. And basically this card is saying is that you have the resources that you need to create the situation that you want. What is it that you want? Put your energy and your focus into that, and everything starts to come into balance and come into play. Avril, I'm so incredibly excited that you joined me this evening and that we were able to get to your question. It was wonderful connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. We've come to the end of our time together. I want to thank all of you so much for joining me for this week's temporary Tune In and Tune Up Thursday on Friday night. So a couple of quick things. The full moon, online full moon gathering ceremony is going to be next Friday at 7 p.m. If you'd like to join us, I will post the information on my Facebook social media, but it's also in the top of the comments on both Facebook and YouTube of this video. And also, if you would like to receive a Season's Blessings Christmas card from me, please send me your mailing address. Again, one of the links at the very top of this chat and conversation is the link to my Postable account. There you can send me your mailing address, and I'll be sending those cards out this week. I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined me. I will see you again next Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, for Tune In and Tune Up Thursday. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. If you'd like to book your own personal reading with me, you can do so at bookingwitherin.com. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hope you have a fabulous weekend.